Between April 2018 and July 2020, 3 patients died at Corston Park Hospital in Norfolk, having suffered neglect and abuse. Healthwatch Norfolk set up My Views Matter to look into residential care for those with learning disabilities and/or autism in Norfolk. We visited 21 residential homes and 4 secure inpatient units, talking to 94 service users and 58 family members. 25 professionals working in the sector also chatted to us, and we ran focus groups with Opening Doors, a user-led Norfolk-based organisation for people with learning disabilities and autism, speaking to over 40 people at those. So, what did we find?
The very severe problems that we saw at Corston Park, where people were being systematically ignored by staff, we didn't find that more broadly in the residential or inpatient sector in Norfolk. Most people generally were fairly happy with how they were being listened to. The fact that it's hard to recruit care staff and hard to hold on to them for a long time was definitely an issue for people. Lots of people with learning disabilities and autistic people find it quite difficult to adjust to change. So the fact that staff were often coming and going was often difficult for people. People were generally very happy with their staff. They tended to get along well with them, and they found that their staff were caring. But when they kept changing, it meant that the quality of relationships that they could have with them wasn't as strong, and that people could find that quite disruptive. People tended to really like their staff. The staff were caring. They provided good support for activities. They tended to try to help people to become more independent and to develop to their full potential, really. But as we find across the country, because care work is quite low paid, the terms and conditions aren't quite as good as they are in other sectors, and people have a lot of responsibility. And people are often leaving the sector, or there are shortages within homes, and that's when the problems start to arise.
Outside of the national issues, what were the other key recommendations? They're broken down into different suggestions for different people. Staff should be encouraged to develop stronger relationships with their residents based on shared interests and balanced sharing of communications. Families also valued managers who were visible and engaged in day-to-day activities. When there are problems and disagreements, transparency and clear communication is vital, and families want reassurance there will be no adverse effects for their loved ones if they complain. More can be done about the decoration of bedrooms and communal spaces, and residents were happier when they played an active role in the upkeep of the buildings too. More effort should be made to encourage people to start new activities, even if they refuse at first, as those who had tried new things felt happier. And those who are more independent should also be encouraged to boost their skills and confidence and take on more activities. More could be done to support residents to keep their friendships with people at the places they used to live, as well as promote new friendships with non-disabled people through schemes like Gig Buddies. Additional support is needed to help people to develop romantic relationships. And family support remains key to make sure they can communicate fully and transparently with homes. More help is needed as relatives age to make sure residents can still see their loved ones if they're no longer able to visit them. So, what happens now?
A lot of people were quite happy with the support that they were getting, and that was really helpful because they could tell us what it was that they particularly appreciated from the care that they were getting. And so we've sort of drawn together some of the best examples of that and put them together in a best practice guide, which gives a quick summary of the findings on best practice that came out of the project. So we've presented it to a range of different organisations. So the biggest presentation was at the Corston Park follow-up event at County Hall last month. And that brought together professionals who were trying to follow up on the recommendations from the Corston Park report. And presenting at that event allowed us to show some videos of relatives giving their testimonies about what good care looks like, and just to try to make sure that service users' voices are getting involved in that process of trying to make sure that things like Corston Park don't happen again. So the recommendations will be sent out to people who commission social care services, and we'll be asking for them to follow up on that. As part of the project, we're also running some focus groups with people who live in care homes outside their homes in different parts of the county that Opening Doors helped us to do. which is a learning disabilities people's organisation in Norfolk. We're going to be running those focus groups every year to try to make sure that we keep an eye on what's happening in the sector over time.